Welcome to the feed, Nightcap, G4's weekly wrap-up of everything awesome in video games. It is the episode number 3 for the week of August 10. We're still here, and I'm Billy Berghammer, Director of Gaming Editorial for G4TV.com, and your host for tonight's show. And this week, we decided to switch it up a little bit. We fired everybody else. Apparently, the ratings came in not so good. You taught me about what ratings were, but
exactly
not so great. So tonight's cast, we have Steven Johnson, feed editor for G4TV.com.
Hey.
We have the lovely Dana Vinson, X-Play's interactive producer.
Howdy.
And they let Adam Sessler out.
Well, I just snuck from my dressing room. I'm not supposed to be here.
But the handsome host of X-Play and the editor-in-chief of X-Play.
Yes, that's me.
That's all correct?
Yes, that's all right.
Excellent. So welcome to the show, guys. Glad you guys could come on. A whole new crew, so this should be a lot of fun. So
I'm very excited to be here.
I'm glad you didn't leave for Ohio yet. So thanks for sticking around. So on this week's show, per usual, we have our top 3 news stories. We're going to talk about Guitar Hero 5 and getting Guitar Hero Van Halen for free. Their new dashboard update is available for Xbox 360, and hopefully it didn't bust your 360. And the real reason you can't have more than 100 Xbox Live friends on your Xbox 360. Patrick Klepek broke that story this week, which is cool. And then we're going to talk about the reader question of the week, which should be fun. It's about DLC. And then we've kind of let the secret out on what our game of the week is. It's Fat Princess, for the people out there that like ladies with little junk in the trunk. So
more cushion for the pushing.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Got to have you on more often, Dana.
I'm getting warmed up.
It's not crass when you say it. So I'm just going to write it down after I think it and have you say it, and then we're all kosher.
No problem.
All right, there we go.
I like this plan.
Let's
I'm proud to be
start
part
out
of
with
it.
the news stories. Steven, please.
Okay, the biggest news story of the week, I would say, for anybody with a 360 is the dashboard update. And Microsoft has updated the dashboard to include, it's actually kind of a crap ton of new features. There's new Netflix support so that Netflix will stream without your computer. The Avatar Marketplace is brand new, and it allows you to purchase accessories and costumes for your fake digital doll that you love. Yeah, I know. And finally, the Games on Demand, which allows you to purchase games to download directly to your hard drive. Nothing new, all older games. And I would say that the thing that people seem most to have the strongest opinions about is the Avatar clothing and the fact that why on earth would a human being spend money to buy digital clothing for their avatar?
To be quite honest, though, like I never thought people would pay money for the icons, like the gamer pictures or other things like that within the Xbox Live. While you're on Xbox, and within the dashboard, you could buy all the little things. And surprisingly, people did it.
Yeah, there's qualities of human nature that the avatars are now demonstrating that make me want to hide under my bed. Honestly,
run!
Especially in this day and time when there's people who can't get real clothing because they can't afford it, and that other people are whimsically buying a T-shirt to throw on their avatar. It seems a little bit warped. I understand kind of the idea of the avatars, but yeah, we're starting to slip into kind of some dangerous territory. It's kind of like when we saw Home demoed for the first time and we saw the party going on there, and I was crying on the inside at GDC thinking about the people that would be playing this game doing that.
But people are buying them. People bought themes, people bought gamer picks, and now this is transferred over to the avatar system.
Well, of course they're buying them because, let me tell you, you haven't lived until you've made your avatar as fat as possible and put it in hot pants. Slap the Stormtrooper helmet on it. It's the sexiest thing you'll ever see.
I was totally in Adam's camp, completely, and then I saw the lightsaber, and I was like,
How much was it?
I think it's like $4.
It's 400 Microsoft points.
It's a virtual stick.
I didn't buy it, but I wanted it. I wanted it. I did.
Now, if you move your avatar, I'm curious if it does the vroom vroom thing. I might. That sucks. Seriously.
Well, so much of this clothing stuff, I kind of understand it, say, like in WoW, because a lot of what your apparel is kind of a sign of your achievement. But since, it's kind of assuming you have the Microsoft points, you can get the clothing. So there's not, showing things off doesn't have that same kind of cachet. It just says, look, I have more money to burn than you do, which means it's kind of like high school.
So I will say, though, okay, I know there's a love-hate thing with that whole thing, but the whole update of updating my Xbox 360 with the new update It went really fast. I'm sick and tired of firing up my PS3, and it takes like a half hour to get into a game because it takes forever to update that freaking thing. And the 360, 10 minutes. I had dinner. I was like, oh, it's done. It's ready. And then I tried out the new Netflix stuff. I don't know if you guys tried any of that stuff.
Oh, I did.
I was introduced to Anthony Bourdain's show. I've never watched it before.
That's
easily.
a great show.
I have a television show. That is the best show on television.
That show is awesome. But like now I don't have to go walk away from my 360, fire up my PC, scroll through Netflix's thing for shows and movies that are on demand, and it's so much faster. Plus, the way Netflix has it set up, it sucks. Like I'm sitting on my couch last night, just rolling with my controller, and I was like, oh wow, Anthony Bourdain. I heard Abby talking about it. I was like, I'll watch it. Sure enough, 2 episodes done, and then I played Shadow Complex, which we should not even discuss here.
No. But yes, that's another time, another place.
But I'm kudos to Microsoft, man. This stuff is really, really super easy to do. The only other addition, I mean, what did you guys think of the Netflix thing? You think it was? You like it?
I think it's great. I love it because I had Netflix on my media extender before this update, and you could add stuff there, and it was so convenient. And now with the party system that they've introduced, it's going to be cool because you can meet with your friends and say, hey, let's get together and watch The Other Sister and talk about it.
Is that really cool, Dana? Is it actually cool to
Steve,
not watch a movie sitting on a couch with somebody?
Well,
as opposed to watching a movie at the same time?
I'm going to answer this question seriously.
Okay.
And the serious answer is that I have friends who live on the East Coast, for instance, and we don't get the chance to hang out a lot. And so, I mean, it might appear lame, but anytime you can get together in one place with your friends who live far away, that's pretty cool.
Now, if her avatar has a really big hat, does it obstruct other people's views?
God, I hope so.
Yeah, that's my big query. If I get my cog armor, am I taking it more?
The Big Daddy helmet.
Would you buy the avatar helmet that blocked other people's views?
See, look, now I'm about to go buy something to try this out. I've been trapped.
I think that's when microtransactions like that become important, when the Xbox gets more social. Like 1 versus 100. You want to look fly for the honeys.
Word.
Or not.
I still think the most significant thing, obviously, is the games on demand, because what we're quietly seeing is Microsoft is dipping its toe into what could potentially be, in most people's minds, the future of how games are going to be sold.
Yeah.
And granted, the pricing seems to be completely out of whack.
It was like 20 to 30 bucks. Yeah.
But
they're not using Microsoft points. They're using straight money.
Which makes it less appealing at 4 in the morning.
That's a really good point. You have to wonder if GameStop somewhere like off in the corner going like, no, make them very expensive so we can keep our retail institution. But if this takes off, then we might be looking at something entirely different for the next console cycle.
And the only other thing that they added was like ranking. You can 5-star rating different pieces of content, which I'm like, okay.
Because I want the opinion of all those people I hear on Xbox Live. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Their aggregate opinion is going to be of value to me.
Hey, at least it's
all
not
of them
vocal.
are rocket science.
As there's more content added, you need different ways to filter it. And how else could you do it?
Well, I'm still waiting for the Twitter stuff, the Last FM stuff, and the Facebook stuff. That stuff isn't happening yet. It's in the final stages, I guess, of testing and everything, and they're going to add that later. But, Microsoft.
Oh, yes. Please give me more ways to communicate with all the people I hate.
But I think to your point, Billy, that the update was such an inoffensive process.
Yeah.
I don't care.
It was cool.
Whereas if I can't enjoy my gaming system for an entire half hour while an update is happening, and then I find the update to be subpar, that is a point of frustration.
True. All right, next.
Okay, the next story that has come up is the fact that Guitar Hero 5 is going to come with basically a free coupon for Guitar Hero Van Halen, which says an awful lot about something, that you get 2 games for the price of 1. I mean, does it say something about the confidence that they have in Guitar Hero 5? Does it say something about how well they think Guitar Hero Van Halen is going to sell?
I think it says something about Guitar Hero Van Halen.
I think so too.
Because everything I've seen with GH5 looks incredible. I think they've made a lot of really great improvements, but I don't think they necessarily made those to Van Halen.
Yeah, but I mean, I've heard people that saw it. I didn't see Guitar Hero Van Halen at E3. Frank did, and he said he loved it, and he's a big Van Halen guy. Like, he was really excited. I still want DLC where we get the coked out David Lee Roth skin.
Yes,
where
I think
he's
definitely
got like a stained wife beater, like when he got arrested for smoking weed in New York, like something like that. That's what I want.
Or just something like if you don't play well, then he storms off the stage and the band breaks up.
But does he have a lightsaber?
It's like, or what if Sammy Hagar is like waiting in the wings, like, if you screw up, I'm gonna join the band.
Okay, just so everybody knows, there is no Sammy Hagar. There is no Gary Sharon, and more probably a huge thing that's not there is the bass player Michael Anthony from the original Van Halen has been replaced with Eddie Van Halen's son Wolfgang.
Yay.
In the clothing that Michael Anthony used to wear back in the Van Halen days. And like, if you're a huge fan of that band, I mean, 4 guys in the band, the bass player is not in it. I mean, how is it even Van Halen?
That's why it's free.
I don't know. My take on it, the reason why they're doing it is Activision is terrified of Rock Band. Rock Band Beatles is going to be freaking huge. And people are still going to invest the $60 in Rock Band anyway, but for a free game, another $60 to get Guitar Hero 5, which is looking very promising, and Van Halen, there's $120 gone. At least I know from my wallet for sure.
Well, I think the biggest issue with this isn't... I think there might be a little bit involving the complications of the band and its legacy, but this game should have been out months ago.
Yeah.
We have known about this unofficially for I don't know how long. I had a guy deliver me groceries who was working on mocap in it, and that was about a year ago. I mean, the Guitar Hero franchise is being beaten to death. We had Smash Hits come out. There's so much of it, and I think they put 2 and 2 together and realized that Van Halen, if it came out 3 months ago, would have probably done very well, but there's almost no hope in hell with everything else going on, that especially after the launch of Guitar Hero 5, that it's going to really get anybody's attention. And so, yeah, they're pretty much trying to give it away for free because I think it's the only way it's going to get into people's hands.
Cool. And last story.
The last story is from our own Patrick Klepek, who broke the story that answers a question gamers have been asking themselves for a long time, which is, why can I only have 100 friends on Xbox Live? No one ever could really answer that question, but Patrick Klepek has. His inside sources at Microsoft have confirmed that the reason you cannot have more than 100 friends on Xbox Live is because people still play Halo 2.
And that's the way Halo 2 is structured.
Yeah.
100 friends.
It's kind of a bummer that, this big thing for the 360 is being undone by an Xbox game.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. But it reminds me of Y2K.
Yeah, and our ancient power grids. No, it does, because the infrastructure just isn't there to support the new needs. But
seemingly some little tiny technical problem that nobody can solve.
Now, have you guys had to take people off your friends list because you've already built up 100 people?
Billy, look at us. No, we haven't had to do
No.
that. Well, Adam Sessler, maybe. But
This was interesting because everyone was speaking like this was kind of something that was so present in the minds of so many people out there. I've never considered having 100 friends. Okay. So I was like, oh, wow. So
maybe I'm alone. I had to cut some people out. I mean,
how did you decide?
I hate people. Did you do a lottery?
Yes.
Yeah?
There was a draft.
Okay.
It made people cry. No. There were just people I'm like, I don't even know who you are anymore. And then they're like, I don't know. I don't like you anymore. So bye. So
I just love how there's this really large group of traditionalists that will not gravitate to Halo 3, and Halo 2 multiplayer is what it's all for them.
Well,
I really was not aware of that. So
it's not that many people. I mean, according to what we looked into, it's about what was it, like 10,000 people a day play Halo 2. I think that's what.
That's still a pretty good number for
that's
online.
10,000 people.
Yeah,
I know a lot of
compared
games
to
out
Halo
there.
3. I mean, isn't that like how many people would you say play Halo 3 in a given day?
All right, good point.
Probably a lot more.
And how many people are on live that want more than 100 friends?
Probably a lot. I've noticed that people tend to friend you just like if you play a game of Uno with them. I think people like to have lots of friends.
People are lonely, is what I just got from that.
They're really lonely, especially in
play
Uno.
Uno with me. I have a friend now.
And if they have cameras, watch out. Anyway.
Well, thanks for the news. Next up is our reader question of the week. Adam?
All right. Our reader question of the week is from Are You Crazy Nuts? So
phonetically. What's the phonetic?
XRXUX Crazy Nuts X. How do you pronounce that?
Dana's
Dana's totally coming back.
Nice.
All right, the question?
I was an English major. I need a moment.
Does that offend you? Yeah.
Okay, here's the question from the gentleman who is so erudite. What would you consider the pros and cons would be of a game developer / publisher announcing DLC before the game's actual release date? Where do you think the line is between greed, running a business, and enthusiasm or pride in the company's continued support in a game they have created?
Steve?
Well, I would think the line is drawn at the fact that some games have features already on the game disc, and you pay the DLC fee to unlock those features that are already there. I mean, that always just smells like a ripoff to me. But as far as announcing it when it comes out, I mean, if it's some specialized content that everybody wouldn't like let's say extra multiplayer or something like that, and you're paying for that content, I think it's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with them launching things and announcing DLC simultaneously. In fact, it's kind of cool. I
think it adds to the value. It's like, oh, I know I want this game because after I beat it, I'm going to be able to play other stuff afterwards. You know, look at the way Grand Theft Auto 4 was announced. Or, Grand Theft Auto 4 was announced from Microsoft. It wasn't just the date. It was, hey, DLC. That was Microsoft's big deal with that game. And I think it's very important. I think a lot of people jump to the 360 because of that. So, I don't know. In Fallout, Bethesda's done it right. Where,
yes. Yeah. And it does show their support for the game. Excuse me. There we go.
Cough button.
Still getting. Oh, there is, isn't it? Of course, privacy. There it says privacy. But to kind of his question about this line between the running of a business and the enthusiasm or pride in the game, I say this a lot on the soapbox. It's a business. We are in a business of entertainment. These are not just incredibly kind people that are spending years of their lives and not seeing their loved ones to create games just for the generosity in their hearts. No, people are trying to make money. And there's a very key element of the money to be made in the DLC, and it isn't even so much in the purchase of the DLC content. Used games are a huge problem for a lot of these publishers. Mm-hmm. And if there's DLC that you know about ahead of time that's coming down the pipe, you're not going to take that game disc back to GameStop and get $5 for it to put to another game. It's really, it's very important to them. And I think it's obviously one of those nice relationships where their economic interests seem to only work to our benefit, because we do get Mothership Zeta, we do get the Battle of the Gate Tony and everything else that's coming out.
And Horse Armor.
That I think that's why people still are so suspicious about DLC. Bethesda's great legacy will always be that the first piece of DLC content was the stupidest content we have ever seen.
Well, you bought it.
Well, I never rode a horse because I was playing the 360 version, and it's like I don't need to visit load screens every 2 minutes.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think I agree with both Steve and Adam, and I think a lot of it comes down to perception of the company. Because I think fans are tougher on some people than they are on others. And I mean, in the case of Valve, we all know what happened with Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. Everybody felt like Left 4 Dead 2 should have been DLC and it should have been free. But in reality, it's a completely different game, and Left 4 Dead really was a great experience. And, they did offer free DLC, which is great. And now there's a different game coming out. And if you enjoy the franchise, then you should go out and invest in the game, because it's $60, yes, but it's, tens of hours of gameplay, and it's always different. So
I mean, it's not like they're withholding a key element of the game. It's not like John Romero going, well, hold on, there's a patch for the AI for Daikatana that's coming in 2 years, and you have to pay for it. No, I mean, it's like it's something to add to the game. Right. It is not, I can't think of too many examples, but it really isn't as pervasive as I think the question would imply, that there's, that somehow you have to pay money and extra money to actually get the true enjoyment out of the game.
I think it's an expansion.
Yeah, and I think companies from the outside are going to be leading with that. They're going to say, these are the game features, and this is what's coming next.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's more than just, here's a new T-shirt. Yeah. Here's another thing like that. Give us some real meaty content that makes it worthwhile for us to keep the game, or people are going to sell it back.
I mean, I think a good example is Fight Night Round 4. I believe they announced today that their newest DLC is going to have Oscar de la Hoya. That's pretty good.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, and so it's and if you don't like Oscar de la Hoya or you don't want DLC, the game still functions in his absence.
Yeah, and games are a big investment. I mean, it's a lot of money, so you want to know that you're going to get your money's worth. And I know it makes me feel better personally when I know that there's more stuff coming, down the line, because if I want it, then I can get it.
But to answer the second part of the question, it's all about money.
Yes.
It is. Amen.
Dollar
I hate to be
bills,
cynical,
y'all.
but man, it's all about money.
Well, cool. That's this week's reader question. For all your reader questions, check out the feed, usually Tuesday or Wednesday, and we post a story on the feed asking for your questions. And make sure you have an avatar, or we won't use your crap.
Yeah, or if you just want to chat.
And maybe next time we can have a guy whose name is Bob or Larry. Or Nancy.
Stanley.
With 17 X's.
Yes.
Stanley XX.
Dude, it's hardcore, okay?
Pro tip, Add X's.
Okay, great. So now it's time for this week's Game of the Week, and we kept it as a surprise, but yeah, it's been running behind me the entire show.
Were we
So
keeping it as a surprise?
it's Fat Princess, which
Oh my God, it is.
I'm
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh,
And surprisingly,
I have the vapors.
the lovely and talented Dana Vincent, you reviewed the game for G4, and
I did.
You gave it a 4 out of 5.
I did. I really like the basic gameplay. It's kind of, well, it ties into what we were just talking about with the reader question, in that it's a good starting point, and I'm sure that there'll be more maps and, characters released down the line. But for right now, it's just a really solid gameplay experience, and I know Steve Johnson is going to disagree with me. But I gave it a 4 out of 5 because the single campaign player campaign is a little weak. You'll blow through it in like 3 to 6 hours, depending on how much effort you put into it. But the multiplayer is really fun. It's 32 players on a map fighting to save a fat princess that you keep fat by feeding her cake. Like, what is there not to love? It did have a few launch glitches. It's sometimes hard to get into the multiplayer matches, and there's a little bit of lag. But I think in my review, when I gave it a score, I wanted to believe that those would be addressed at some point, and I think they are, because fans are being a little bit
Bitter.
Yeah.
Just a tad.
Given some
It's
community
amazing
feedback.
how there were fans within a week of the game's release. That's what I've.
Well,
and
there were-
not just fans, but fans who are become so devoted and feel so betrayed that the bitterness is already.
Well, hey, you pony up money for that game.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
You want
I
the
know.
crap to work.
And there were fans before the game even came out, because
Long beta.
yeah, there was a beta, and all people heard was, "Oh my God, I get to feed a princess cake! Like, sign me up!" And it is kind of fun.
Oh, they just like big butts.
Well, it
And
gets
they cannot-
really
And you cannot
big.
lie. I was going there too.
Someone had to go there.
Okay, Dana, to answer your question
Steve,
about...
you loved it, right?
Steve.
You know what?
Did not love it.
I'm not going to say that I didn't like the game. Like, the actual game itself is fine. What I didn't like was playing it. And to explain what I mean, the real part of the game is the multiplayer, and I didn't like the fact that there are so many other players and that no one knows what's going on. And it could be because the game's only been out for a week, but it just seemed like randomness. And yes, there were strategies that I'm sure would be very deep, but nobody was interested in them at all. And they would just meet at choke points and kill one another. And it would go on and on and on and on and on forever. And it ended up sort of being infuriating. And I was like, okay, you know what? If I were playing this with 5 of my friends, we could dominate every single game just by having 5 people that work together.
Well, and I think that's part of what makes it fun, is that if you can actually get a group together that cooperates. And even while I was playing, I didn't know the people I was playing with, but when we did game after game after game after game, we all kind of developed strategies, and we got better and better and better. And even though one of the problem is that not a lot of people on the PS3 have headsets, so you can't talk to each other.
Yeah, that's
It's a big problem.
Immediate. It is curious. This is not a game where you can necessarily, intuit what somebody else is trying to do or where the correct strategy is, and that probably more so than even like in Killzone 2, you need to be in some degree of communication. Also, because you can only see so much on what you have on
Right,
screen,
exactly.
and you're not getting strong indications of what's happening in other parts of the map. That
There's
I
a
think
map
that is,
that you can bring up too.
Oh, there is a map. It's
There
there.
is, yeah,
Press
there's
select.
Press select. See, that's select button. Anyway, moving on from that, I think what's interesting is that, because I see the problems that Steven sees with the game, but I completely agree that this core game is great. And there's almost like a contest between the pick up and play mechanics, where you can grab that game and you can start doing something and get quite a bit of satisfaction out of it. And how then do you start to encourage that player to then explore the cooperative depth that the game really has to offer?
Exactly.
Because there is this end goal where you have to work with other people to achieve it. That what's kind of the charm of the game is also sort of working against its end goal of a true strategy game where everyone's just playing one character.
See, I'm a big Capture the Flag fan. That's my favorite mod for first-person shooters. I love it. I play the hell out of it. I play the hell out of it on Quake and throughout everything. In this game, at least the main mode, I think, is the Capture the Flag. Well, capture
capture the fat
princess.
Capture the fat.
princess.
Correct.
Like, in some games, I just made it my only goal to feed her cake. Like, that was my job. I just kept bringing little pieces of cake.
But
Man, she really likes that cake. Though.
She loves that cake.
But what I found interesting is it kind of reminded me of how the original Team Fortress was, because it's class based. So if you don't team up with somebody, you're gonna get wasted out there. You're gonna run out there. Yep. You might get a lucky, where the princess is making you run back. That dude eats it, and then you just grab it and run back. Okay, great. But when you actually team up with somebody, like I played a ranger, and so I had a priest healing me the entire time. So basically, I just stayed range and just wasted the field, and I survived better. My score went up a lot faster, and then when we entered the enemy base, we had a lot better chance of survival. With but you also have the inherent problem with the PS3 game is nobody's using a headset. So unfortunately, I got in some matches where people knew how to play the game. You went out and got resources, so you upgraded your stations and then made the trek out. Or you just said, screw the resources, we're just going to go bum rush the castle, everybody on our team. And it made for a very fun, game dynamic. So outside of the disconnect problems that I had, and I had a game where I was the highest scorer I had ever played and got totally dumped to the XMB for no reason.
I think they patched it, though.
I played it last night with no discernible problems. So it looks like it was addressed in that patch. And that was actually fairly quick. Castle Crashers, that took a while
it did.
to get that multiplayer to work. I think that... because I love the visual design of the game.
Oh, I'm glad we're talking about this.
Because especially in a strategy game, because that is probably one of the those games are the least to give in from the men like to have things dark and violent and gloomy. But it's so rambunctious looking on screen that it's very hard to think like, if I show a lot of restraint in how I play and work with other people, this is really going to work to everyone's benefit. Once again, it's two competing things that are happening in the game that's kind of hard to get your head wrapped around.
Right, and it looks like you're slaughtering children in oversized hats.
I love that.
Well,
and that's a plus.
It's super cute with this cartoon look, and then there's blood.
Yeah, there's
it's
blood
awesome.
everywhere, and it really they make little noises like ooh, no,
I'm so hungry.
I like burninating people.
Weird.
That's fun.
Burn in the village.
And then if you look, the narrator there was I like big butts, whatever, blah blah blah. They ripped a quote in the bottom, like where they have the things at the bottom, the tutorial things. Yeah.
Yes.
The
Mix-a-Lot.
Thank you, Sir Mix. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they have a lot of references throughout the game, like they use the word pwn, and there's something about the dudes in your base.
They're ganking us in our base.
Yeah.
They're in our base, killing our dudes.
Yes, that's
kind of awesome.
The first time I was like,
that's awesome.
It's just really smart. Even the menu is cute. It's not your straight up normal UI menu.
And you get the nice British man. They're in our base, killing our dudes.
Which is curious because I know this game has definitely garnered a lot of attention, but this is typically the kind of game where we would get a lot of viewer mail from people who just don't like it just on the graphics alone because they immediately think it's kiddie, it's cute, and it can't be serious, and it can't be a deep game. So I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out and how people are going to react to it. And maybe this might be that next little nudge over the fact that not everything has to look hardcore and dark and gloomy and apocalyptic. I actually would like to have an apocalyptic reality because then we'd have games that would look more like Fat Princess.
That's true. Interesting. We're getting there.
Oh, yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah,
really
we're
soon.
working our way towards the end of the world, everybody. 2012, coming up.
I think Sony does a really good job with differentiating themselves from what Microsoft has on Xbox Live Arcade. They have really, really super creative, different types of games that you can download. You have Flower, Flow, Fat Princess, all the pixel junk stuff, and I don't know.
I mean, but it's also evident in some of the retail games as well, is that I always like to tip my hat off to Sony because given their financial situation, they're still funding stuff like Heavy Rain, which, if I was running the company, I actually might be questioning, but as someone who's not and is just benefiting from their product, I happen to like it quite a bit. So,
someone who doesn't have to worry about that.
Well, I think they should be funding more games that have elves in them and games that are very dark shooters that are in browns and grays because there's just not enough of those games out
Mike
there.
Button.
I hate color.
I don't like fun.
So 4 out of 5. Steve
Where's
Johnson?
the Earthworm Jim game?
I'm going to give the game a 4 and the other players 1.5, and I'm being charitable.
Button.
I would love that.
One and a half.
We actually decide we're not just reviewing games, we're reviewing gamers.
Exactly.
And we give them a score as well. And we talk about their gameplay and their graphics.
Dude, there's a soapbox that I want to see.
Yeah, right there.
There's next week for you.
Please.
I always thought about doing like the old GameSpot breakdown of the various elements of the game, but do that with all the women I've been dating.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. So 4 out of 5, Fat Princess by Titan Studios, published by Sony. Steve won't play it again, but I think after all of our travels are wrapped up, I
just villainized you.
I know, exactly. I might
You
play it
hate
again.
fun.
Come on.
Oh, you might.
Well, we'll hook up the mic situation. We'll try it again, but
There you
I'm
go.
going to keep playing it. I really had a good time. with it,
I definitely think it's a fun game, and it's an immediately satisfying game that you don't have to play for hours on end to get to that point. So
Excellent. So
Easy
cool.
to play, hard to master. It's good.
Well, that wraps it up for this week's Nightcap. Yeah. Did you guys have a good time? Our new cast?
I did.
I had a fantastic time.
I had the time of my life.
Adam, can I borrow
oh
your
wait,
shirt?
we actually did it for real this time.
Yes. That other pilot where we dropped a lot of F-bombs totally did not make it.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's why the camera's here. No, I understand.
Yes. That's why the real peoples are
Yes,
over
this
there.
was fun. This was fun, and it's in this real-looking radio studio place.
No, it's like we're grown-ups.
Very professional.
Cool. And it's been fun. And thanks a lot for coming on this week. Next week is going to be very interesting. I am hitting the road on Sunday to go to Gamescom, and we have an all-new Nightcap from Germany.
I want to see you in Lederhosen, please.
Yeah.
You're the only one.
Yeah, that really is just you, Data.
I can guarantee that.
Oh,
But
sorry. I
it's
guess
gonna
I
be
shouldn't
interesting.
share my fantasies. Huh?
Yeah, me and Andrew Fist are off to Germany. And
Get
Gamescom.
Andrew in the Lederhosen, too.
Maybe.
Oh,
just-
my God. It's like you looked into my dreams and made them come true.
Yeah, und Lederhosen.
I think Andrew just cried a little bit. But,
games.
yeah, so we'll be live, or not live, but on tape from Germany. And as always, you can only find it on g4tv.com. But now we are available on iTunes
Yay.
in audio
Oh,
and
that's
video.
scary.
Nice.
So, but that wraps it up. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming. It was really a lot of fun.
Thank you
And,
for
thank
you.
having us.
Yes,
All right.
thanks for having us.
Be safe in Germany.
It's almost Friday, so everybody have a good weekend.